Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is 10 really, I don't know how to put this, dumb, lacking of common sense. Like, your mind is blown. Well, my mind was blown when I read these 10 really bad reviews. And I like to just scroll through the reviews on Goodreads, and yeah, I was disappointed. That's a word. I was disappointed in these reviews. Actually, one of them is not bad, but we'll get into why. It's like I'm still a little disappointed in you. But I'm going to read them off paper, so if I'm looking down, it's because I'm reading off paper, because I film with my phone. In this area right here, I'm going to put up the review in question. We have 10 reviews, and I did scratch out the picture and the name or the screen name because honestly, I don't trust strangers on the internet not to go weird and crazy all out and go and harass these people. That's not gonna be on my shoulders just because the reviews are disappointing, silly, dumb, doesn't make sense, where's your common sense, does not mean that the jump should be going harassing them. I've seen it happen on Twitter a lot. I'm not on Twitter. This is obviously, this is a YouTube video. However, I still have, you know, enough people that subscribe and or watch that I'm not gonna if you really want to, you can scroll endlessly to find these, but if you do that, I don't know, get a life. We're doing this, you know, as a literary commentary slash for fun, so hold your horses. We're gonna jump in right now with Amazon Decoded. This is a nonfiction book. I read it, and I'm rereading it again. So this is what this person said. David Grogan knows a lot about Amazon algorithms and the best strategies to use them to get to the top of the list. He proved it with his book, A Great Guide on the Topic, Let's Get Visible. However, Amazon Decoded is for the experienced authors with lots of readers waiting for their books, not for the beginners who want to launch their first book and rely exclusively on friends and family. If you don't have an audience, you won't get enough sales or visibility to take advantage from Gogren's advice, and that's 4 out of 5 stars. Okay. Now I'm gonna go on a little rant, as an indie author. First off, do not rely on friends and family for buys. For Amazon Decoded, you can definitely use his techniques, even at the most basic level, to get reads, reviews, fans, likes on your Facebook author page, and signups for your mailing list. You know, this is, maybe because he says, or he has said in the past, that this is for a little bit more intermediate to expert. Don't read the book if you haven't read the other stuff. Maybe that's where this review is coming from, but then again, if you've read all of the other books, I mean, you're obviously going to read Amazon Decoded. So, relying on friends and family for their first book launch, oh my gosh, don't do that. Please do not do that. Follow his advice and other people's advice, which is put out the first book, go on to like Fiverr and have do like $30, maybe $40 or so for like book blogs or social media posts. I've done that not many times, a few times, and that really gets stuff pumping. But then what you have to do for your first book is write more books so you have a backlog, and then you can really take advantage of Amazon Decoded. So I think the big mistake here is relying on friends and family and not taking the advice of what he says and what many people say regarding first book launches. Okay, this is number 2, My Dark Vanessa. I wish I could unread this book. The whole experience was nauseating and depressing as fuck. And the ending was shite. Okay, you know what's more nauseating? When you're sexually assaulted. That whole experience is actually nauseating, depressing, and the ending is shite. So I have 2 other reviews, bad reviews, of My Dark Vanessa because people don't get it. So, and now, it's an adult book, it's literary fiction, and the summary is obvious. It's about a teenager that is abused by her teacher, having to grapple with the fact that she was abused. It was not a consensual relationship, and the person that she has been in love with, or, in her mind been in love with for 15 years is actually a monster. Yeah, it's not going to be a fun read. But even when you think about it's literary fiction, don't you, connect the two, that it's not going to be a happy ending anyway? But about the happy ending or the bad ending, we'll get to that with another longer review. Okay, number 3, Free the Stars. I haven't read the first or second book, but guess what? I wouldn't leave this type of review. Okay, right now. Sorry, without reading the first book, it's impossible to get into this world and understand these characters. DNF. E-arc provided by publisher via NetGalley. Okay. And, at the bottom, because she was getting so much crap for this. For anyone who hasn't checked my profile or looked at my other reviews, a good sequel will make it easy for readers to get into the world, usually through a previously section or by referencing prior events. After 40%, this book did not do any of that, hence the DNF. Oh my god. Who does previously, what does that say? Previously section. Who does that anymore? Maybe, I can't remember. Oh, wait. No, there was, so Kevin Hearn does this, but his books are he has 10 books or something for the Iron Druid Chronicles, and they were so spaced out, so it makes sense that, you do but no, this is a duology, sweetie. And it came out within a year or 2 of each other. You don't need a previously section, and I really hate when books just info dump on what happened last book. Even if it's just a few paragraphs, stop it. I read the other book. I don't need a few paragraphs, or sometimes they'll do a full page. I don't care. I think I see that more with the young adult, but not so much middle grade, which I find to be a little weird, because I would understand it a bit more with middle grade because these are middle schoolers. And they're still learning a little bit, with reading comprehension. But with young adult, I don't know why. But supposedly all books that are in a series need to have a previously section, or by referencing prior events throughout the whole other book, which if someone did that, I would stop reading. Yeah, it would be impossible to get into the world when you start out with the second book. And also the fact that this reviewer just took away one e-arc, from someone who actually read the book, the first book, and who enjoyed it. I don't get people. This is... Okay, so this is The Red Pyramid, 3 out of 5 stars, but this is an adult. And I have a problem, a huge problem, with adults that are reading middle grade books and acting like it's gonna be a freaking literary masterpiece. Every single book middle grade book needs to be a literary masterpiece. Okay. If you want to read that, then go read the older middle grade books. I don't know, like, it doesn't make any sense. So, notes, frantic, hollow, and artificial. And note, parenthetical bickering does not reinforce present, it just sounds contrived. You know what, sweetie? This is for preteens and like 13, maybe 14-year-olds. All of the preteens, middle grade, middle schoolers, that I know read this book, like the parentheses. I don't 100% know why. I think, well, when I said, oh, why do you like that? They think it's funny, especially because with the sisters and brothers that were reading the book, they thought it was funny. And of course that would make sense if you have a brother and sister or multiple siblings. That's what you do. So, of course, the middle schoolers are gonna think it's funny. Now, I mean, I'm sure a few think that it's silly or that it's cheesy, but will that make them stop reading? Maybe some of them, but all the ones that have read the Kane Chronicles, they thought it was funny. And this is just an adult thinking like an adult and then projecting it onto a book. A book not made for you. It's made for preteens that a lot of them like cheesy stuff. I'm like, I remember back in the day, I liked really cheesy, cliche stuff, but you're still getting to know how to read and how to comprehend stuff. So if it's easy, then it's more likely you're going to like the book. Get it? Okay, number 5, The Grace Year. This one got me. I am sick of these so-called feminist books packed full of girls being nasty to each other. I'm going to comment on that soon. I had so many other problems here. Interchangeable cardboard characters, and still love the way the protagonist directed herself towards men at every path. After her initial refutation of romance, the stupid protagonist, my goodness, the absent world building, hello, that ending, how was that supposed to be even the least bit feminist? But the girls being mean and awful to each other, hurting and harming each other was the crux of it. Mad at the hype for promoting me to pick this book up in the first place. Okay, so The Grace Year. That is a very angry book, and I appreciate it. It's very angry, very violent, very on the nose regarding ultra-religious societies that are obviously patriarchal. Now, there was another review that said the religious patriarchy was too much. Like, if you sang, then that might indicate that you're a witch, and that's ridiculous. There were societies that thought that. It was a thing. There are some societies, not, I don't think nowadays, but back in the day, where women really couldn't do anything unless being thought of as a witch or a heretic or a sinner or, stuff like that. Now, is it slightly played up? Yes. However, it's still a book. I mean, it's going to be played up in film as well. So that's just, if you don't like stuff to be slightly played up, I personally don't think it was hugely played up where it would be cheesy. My opinion, though. So it was a little slightly played up. If that's not what you like, that's fine. However, I don't think people truly understand what a religious patriarchy can really do to women as a group. Women are fighting against women for a place that is just slightly above okay. So if you're fighting against a rich man and you have 5 other women trying to marry him, it's better to marry him in their mind than to marry, let's say, a carpenter that lives in a shack. At least you have just a just a little bit of power because he is very powerful. You have no power by yourself. Your female family members have no power, but at least you have some little bit of power with that rich man. So you're going to do this with the other 5 women, fighting, gossip, spreading gossip, saying, oh, she's a sinner, I saw her do this, this, and that, try her for witchcraft, she's doing this, and I'm perfect, and please choose me to be your wife. This is something that happens. It still happens in some countries. And the whole other thing with like insta love with the female character, I mean, she falls in love with a man she's only ever known, these very rigid religious men that, you know, could really just end her fate, whereas this one's a little different. This one is an outsider. This man at first thinks her as evil, but then they fall in love, and it's like, you know, where you fall for, maybe you lust after you fall in love, you know, whatever you want to say about what it might be, you fall for this other person that's so completely different that it's like you're intrigued. I've seen it happen a lot, you know, especially with religious people where they're surrounded by just like the same people over and over again, and then like, oh, you maybe you go on vacation, I don't know, you go on vacation and then you see like a surfer dude I don't know, you see a surfer dude with his shirt off, but like you're on the boardwalk and you're looking at this surfer and you're like, oh my god, I want him. And you don't know how you want him, you don't know why you want him, but you just want him because the men that are surrounding you are in like long sleeve shirts and ugly boots and the same trousers, the same, it's all the same, everyone's the same, but then you see from a distance surfer boy and you're like, oh my god, yes. That's what the insta love this reviewer was talking about. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because really when you're in this very religious patriarchal cult, yes, it's a cult, you don't know what you don't know, and then when you see it, you're like, oh my god, I want it. I don't know why, but I want it. And then also the fact with it being a feminist book, it is a feminist book, I would say, because at the end, spoiler alert, the main character is impregnated with that insta-love guy, and then she comes back, and it's, you know, patriarchy, and she's thought of as a witch, and they're gonna kill her until the women stand up for her. And what happens, it's really good storytelling, I think, is that the well in this area where all the women go for a year, they basically fight it out. It's kind of like a gladiator style. You're drinking this water, but there's stuff in the water, like moss or like it's like some growth, and it makes you high. It makes you high as hell and makes you aggressive. So all these young women are clashing like this. There's no one, you know, it's just women clashing, and they think that they're talking to God and they're seeing stuff, but no, you're actually high. But then the main character realizes what's really going on, and she tells all of them to stop drinking the water. We have fresh water over here. Stop killing each other. Stop punching each other in the face. You do not need to do this. This is not God. We need to come together instead of killing each other. And I think that's very feminist, because what did I say before? Women are pitted against each other in patriarchal societies to survive. But if you all come together and then stand up in the small way, where, you know, at the end, the main character is about to be killed, but everyone comes together with her and says, no, don't. That is very feminist. I don't know where you're getting that. It's not, but okay, you do you. Okay, number 6, raisins and almonds. This is my first Franny Fisher book. After having read so many good things about her, I was disappointed in this outing. I found the chemistry and the information on Jewish religion overwhelming. Okay. Not being an expert in either, it was just TMI for me, and more than I wanted and more than I thought was necessary to the plot. All that said, I have since read reviews of the other books and will give another one a try. I like the setting and I'm curious about the recurring characters. Okay. Raisins and Almonds is book number 9 in this series. Ma'am, read the first book. Read the first through 8 books, then go to the 9th book, Raisins and Almonds. I don't understand, people. You gave it 2 out of 5 stars because you started with the 9th book. You can't do that unless it's a standalone in like a prequel series. I don't know. Those books exist, that it can stand alone even though it's in the series, but the Franny Fisher series, no, that is not the right one. Also, the information on Jewish religion overwhelming, not being an expert in either, was just TMI for me. How is it too much information? Like, when I think TMI, I'm thinking like people are like too much violence or too much sex, you know, when you say TMI. So I don't understand why Jewish religion, like that information that she gives, is TMI. Okay, fine. Number 7. This is from like an older person, which I find really funny. It makes sense when you frame it as an older person reading. Pasadena, which is a young adult California noir novel. This one called out to me because I live in Pasadena. Actually, though, it could be set anywhere. The story takes place all over the LA area. There's really not much to this. It reads like the outline of a young adult teen angst romance mystery. None of the characters are very well defined. It was impossible to work up any concern about them. It reads like the outline of a young adult teen angsty romance mystery because it's young adult California noir. What is California noir and what is young adult? That would be your answer, sir. Orleans, 2 out of 5 stars. This is going to be a long one, and I hope I don't mess it up. I probably will, because this is a long one, but we have to talk about it. Okay, boy. This is gonna be... The concept of the novel is actually one that I would have found interesting. However, the author opted to give the people that were left to live in Orleans their own dialect, and by dialect I mean she decided to write ain't and be in a bunch of sentences. Just a few examples. Part 1, Tribe, Chapter 1, page 13, there be seagulls catching the breeze overhead. Chapter 2, page 26, the sky be growing dark by the time we get back. Chapter 4, page 39, Lydia ain't at the fire, but I see Baram done give the onegs they arrows back. So unfortunately, I was caught up in trying to read through the clunky sentences and less in the actual story itself. Oh! Otherwise, the story was as entertaining as it could be while I was reading through butchered English, sir. Fen was a nice, strong female character. She just wanted to do what was right for Lydia's baby girl. And Daniel was a nice contrast to her abrasive nature. Okay, how does that make sense? She just wanted to do what was right for Lydia's baby girl, but then you say her abrasive nature. Okay, Daniel, just wanted to fix the fever that claimed the lives of many in Orleans, and he definitely had an aura of an innocent. Definitely not someone who had been brought up in times of war and struggle like Fen had been. Well, yes, because Daniel wasn't in Orleans. He's on the outside. Let me just say, okay, butchered English. Okay, that's where a lot of people commented on this. However, there is a reason for it, of which this person does not mention. It's like in a flashback that's 50 pages. Now, I gave Orleans by Sherry L. Smith 4 out of 5 stars because I think she relies too heavily on info dumps in flashbacks. However, there is a point why Fence uses be, ain't, gone, give. And I'm gonna spoil Orleans for you because it needs to be said, because it's not like Sherry L. Smith is just throwing out these words in butchered English. Okay, Fen, you would say upper middle class, not rich, but like both of her parents were, they're no longer with us, were working on, or like working in the area, because they're scholars, of this fever. And she's the only daughter. So when the fever came out, and people know about her parents because they're scholars in New Orleans, then changed to Orleans. So then her father, I believe, said, you need to not sound like you're well off because stuff's about to go down. And you need to blend in with everyone else. You can't sound like a scholar's daughter or else you will be killed, because basically the fever kind of leaked, or yeah, it leaked, kind of simplified version. And the scholars of this university, this organization, you know, oops, kind of their fault. Like, oh yeah, so you just killed a crap load of people. So yeah, it makes sense that you're not going to, if you want to survive and if you want to not get tortured and killed as a young girl, what are you gonna do to survive? When her parents die and she's on her own as a kid, running around in the streets trying, I mean, she has the, like, what is it? She has the fever, but like, see, I am not a scientist. She has the fever inside her, but it's not killing her, but she can spread it because she's a certain blood type. Yeah, you just have to read the book. But the dialect that she changes to talk, to blend in, so she is not tortured and killed. And honestly, sexually assaulted. It's anarchy in Orleans. It doesn't matter who you are, what you were, you know, if you were like a professor, like a scholar's daughter, if you were a government official, if you were a carpenter, or you worked at Starbucks, it doesn't matter. Everyone is basically the same at this point. You're trying to survive. And people, there's a whole thing with kidnapping people and taking their blood. If you have a certain blood type, then it can help alleviate symptoms and all that stuff. So you also have to watch out for that. My thing of why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, should that have been in a flashback? I don't know. I think maybe Sherry could have written it a little better, or in like that explanation, or earlier in, because it's like halfway through the book where we get this like 40-50 page flashback about why Fen is where she is, why she looks or dresses the way she does, she speaks the way she does, and how she's connected to the fever, and how that, you know, is connected with Daniel and her relationship, and a lot of other stuff, like how also, I mean, she is sexually abused, and how she got out of that and is now in like this camp, or was in this camp. That camp was burned. You know, there's just a lot. Should that have been in a flashback? I don't know. The book makes you think. Now, are you just gonna do what this person say, that it is butchered English, and you're just gonna leave it at that? No, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. That's surface level BS, quite frankly. And that's what I have a problem with. Okay, number 9 is My Dark Vanessa. This is a long one. I wish I could somehow unread this disturbing book. You know, I'm going to say it again from the other one. You know what's more disturbing? The men and women and the children, teenagers, the sexual assault survivors that are actually assaulted, and not, you know, you just read a book where you can put down and even throw away if you are so disgusted. My curiosity got the best of me after reading the countless 5-star reviews. It wasn't a storyline that appealed to me, but I had to see what all the buzz was about. After reading halfway through and feeling like I was missing something, I continued on as my curiosity kept pushing me further and had me thinking this must get better. Unfortunately, it didn't get better after halfway. In fact, it got worse. Yeah, that's usually how that goes when you're dealing with stuff as heavy as sexual assault. I digress. I finished this novel feeling nauseated, upset, and frustrated, not because I was so impacted by the storyline and characters. I felt nauseated, upset, and frustrated because I don't understand a reason for a book like this to be written. Oh, the privilege that's coming out of this review. Oh my god, I can't. What is the author trying to convey? I am definitely missing something here. Yes, you're missing your privilege of not being assaulted and then having to deal with that. Legit, that's what you're missing. The ending was a letdown. There was no sense of hope or purpose. There was nothing to feel good about. For me, the story lacked sensitivity and focused on shock factor. The timeline jumped around and lacked flow. As much as the plot disgusted me, I never felt truly connected to the characters or storyline. I felt upset about the situation, but no emotional connection to the characters or investment in the storyline. I don't like writing negative reviews. I like to focus on the positives, but there are simply no positives for me on this one. I didn't enjoy the way the story was presented. Please be warned that this is a highly uncomfortable novel that you must be prepared for. Here's the thoughts right here. As a piece of art, as an adult literary piece, talking about the reality, the legitimate reality, it is not glossed over, of someone, in this instance a 15-year-old that, you know, is going back and forth 15 to 30 flashbacks. She thinks that she's in love with this teacher that is obviously way older than her, that's taking advantage of her. She doesn't see it. She is groomed not to see that. She grows up and kind of still has relationship with him after the age of 18, but at a certain point, even she admits, Vanessa still does admit finally that after a certain age, he stops being interested in her, and then it's like, she kind of says it's like a weird relationship, love, but not really, obviously, because he's not attracted to her anymore because she hits a certain age, and then they stop talking, and then, you know, things unravel at the school because there are other victims, and she doesn't understand that there are other victims because it's love, and it's been love for years. Okay, of course it's uncomfortable, especially the times where you see, or where Vanessa is describing the assaults and how she, you know, in her 30s, looking back in 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, where she disassociates and she thinks that's love. It's not love. It's abuse. You're being raped. But she doesn't get it because she is so deep into the grooming. Even at 30 years old, she doesn't understand that it was statutory rape and she was abused and really, honestly, brainwashed. She doesn't get it, and that's the whole book. And there's times where she stands up for him. I mean, there's countless times where she stands up for him and everyone's like, what are you doing, Vanessa? Why can't you see? But there are victims that don't see because she was groomed. And the grooming is the point of this. It is uncomfortable. It's messed up. It's disgusting. That's the point. If you want to understand what being groomed is as a teenager, even as an adult, by a sexual predator, and having to unravel that, and having to come to the reality that this wasn't love, this was statutory rape. You were assaulted time and time again. It's not normal to disassociate when you're having sex. It's not sex, it's rape. She has to come to that realization. And at the end, she gets a dog, and the dog is calming to her, is centering her, and then she realizes at the end, okay, this was messed up, and I have a lot to heal with, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to therapy, and finally I can say, yeah, that was messed up. And then yes, the book ends. My Dog Vanessa was the point of coming to grips with the fact that she was abused, and to unravel what she has learned, what she's been groomed to know, or to understand, to believe for 15 years. That's the book. That's what a sexual predator does to their victims. That is the reality. That is something that is disgusting and disturbing and nauseating. But people need to, I think, need to read this book if you can handle it, and understand that this is what sexual predators do. These are the red flags. This is what happens to many victims. If you don't want to understand that, and honestly keep a lookout for yourself and to family members and friends, even acquaintances or coworkers, that's your choice. But don't say that it's just a disturbing book and why write it. Obviously, there's an obvious reason why. You just didn't get it because, honestly, you're privileged. That's what I have to say about that. Did I rant? Yes, I did, because I can't stand when anyone says this piece of art, and I say that My Dr. Vanessa is I'm gonna say a literary masterpiece. Why this piece of art exists? Why does it exist? It's meaningless. Okay. So the last one really gets me. This is number 10, My Dark Vanessa again, but like, here. A hard story to read and a harder one to put down, a well-constructed package of dynamite, Stephen King. Then the reviewer at the end says, take my money, I need this book. But why is it 1 star? I don't understand. This is killing me. And I'm just like, why is it 1 star? But like, at the end, like, it's a positive, but it's 1 star. Did you realize that 1 star is not good? It's not 5 stars, it's 1 star, but you want them to take your money. I wanted that to be the last one because I literally don't understand it, and I don't think anyone understands it. Thank you for watching my pretty long, I think this is my longest video, but I did a few rants. I did, and I stand by those rants. So if you like what you just saw, please comment, like, subscribe, and really comment with your thoughts of what you think of these reviews. I stumbled upon them, and I just couldn't deal because it's just too much. Too much. Thank you for watching. Have a great reading day. Bye.